Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everyone and to our Shaykh, beloved Shaykh Tanveer, who's joined us today. He'll be giving us the part two, the ongoing theme of the power of dua. He gave us a really edifying talk last week. He's asked me to tell everyone that he's not driving, the car is stationary. This is being done entirely safely. Yes? He's not. He's not.
It's safe.
He's not multitasking. He's not on the
Alhamdulillah.
motorway. Alhamdulillah. But this,
I am multitasking, so I got a book in my hand and I'm going talking to you, but that's it.
alhamdulillah. But mashallah, bless him because this is all our teachers who've been doing the reminders. They are very busy people, and as you can see, the commitment they have to be with us for these reminders, mashallah. And Sheikh Tanveer is obviously he's been expelled to his car for now. But without any further ado, Sidi, I'll pass it over to you.
جزاك خير. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد في الأولين وصل على سيدنا محمد في الآخرين وصل على سيدنا محمد في الملأ الأعلى إلى يوم الدين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, Ud'uni astajib lakum, sadaqallahu al-azim. Alhamdulillah, it's my great honor to be able to take part. It's my day off, my weekly day off where I come to see my parents. And so, alhamdulillah, I was able to fill in for somebody. I think it was somebody supposed to be somebody else is there today. It's an honor. So they kindly allowed me to step out and do this, but I couldn't do it in the house. It's just too loud. All my nephews and nieces are running around and so forth. So, if at any point a ball falls on my car and you hear some noise, thud, that would be, it's okay. I'm parked up on the side of the road and it's okay. Or somebody comes and knocks the window, says Assalamu alaikum, we're okay, inshallah ta'ala, which where I am, and that's the reason. But the theme, inshallah, is a beautiful theme. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from amongst those, inshallah ta'ala, who, take their share of dua making, and inshallah ta'ala also of their share of du'as being answered and being able to witness that, inshallah ta'ala. There are a lot of people who don't make dua. They may say, I don't know how to make dua. They know they believe in Allah, but they don't know how to make dua, and they feel shy, or they feel like they have to have Arabic to be able to make dua. They may feel they're too sinful to make dua. You hear lots of different, sort of excuses for not making dua. I think we need to get over this and understand that dua doesn't have a language. It can be made with with articulating something, or it could be something that you just, say in your heart and you talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, you don't have to articulate. You can just say something and speak to the Almighty. We want people talking to Allah Almighty, and why not? He is the one who created us. It's from Allah we came, and to Allah is our return. Every day that we live and everything that we do, we strive to try to make it for the God's sake. And if we're not doing that, we should try to do that, because in every given moment we are getting closer and closer to that meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here and there where people, like, when they're asked the question, are you scared to die? I say, of course not. I can't wait to meet my Lord, the Almighty, the one who created me. And so, let's get used to talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's get used to conversing with the Almighty. Let's get used to the idea that Allah is with me wherever I happen to be. I feel comfortable with that. Why? Because we are in every given moment, going back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Dua is a great way of, letting out some, helping you to focus. Why? Because when you make dua, you're talking to Allah and you're complaining to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or you're asking Allah for something. You're asking Allah to give you something. You're asking Allah to remove something from your life, fix something that's gone wrong. Whatever it happens to be, it's a great form of worship. is actually one of the best acts of ibadah. Why? Because on the outset, it's a tongue that is saying, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. And then when you're expressing your need, and Allah loves us showing our need to Him, you're expressing your slavehood to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's a high station to have and to behold. Why? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given the choice between being a prophet and a prophet that is a king, okay, or a prophet that is a slave, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, if he chose to be a prophet with prophecy to be a king, then he would have his palaces and he would have everything else that comes with that type of position, kingship. And if he chose slavery over kingship, then he would have the absence of all of those things. And then Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, chose prophecy with slavery, with slavehood, with ubudiyah. And Allahumma salli wa sallam barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad. So there's nothing there to distract him, subhanahu sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a beautiful position to be in, a position of being in need of the Almighty. And so you're to I was in the street in High Wycombe, and I was speaking to a brother, and some children, special needs children happened to walk by and past us. And I said, hey, look, Alhamdulillah, for the ability to be able to express what we want and what we need. Those children can't really do that, or they struggle. We have to work really hard to work out what is it they're saying. Alhamdulillah, who's given us a tongue in which we can use to express our needs or wants or what we feel. So there's nothing better, there's no greater place to use this than at the door of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And alhamdulillah, Allah sometimes trials people because He loves hearing their call and they're turning to Allah Almighty. So if you're one of those individuals who has a lot of tribulation in life, and you're really struggling, then hey, look at the good in it. The good in it is that you're stuck, you're struggling, right? And then that forces you to then pray to Allah, and then also to spread your hands out and express your slave to the Almighty. So this is a beautiful position to be in. Alhamdulillah, I think this is key. Alhamdulillah, in every state. Now, there are certain things that are connected to dua. There's a beautiful book coming up. It's coming out next week, translated by Dr. Athar, translated the work of Imam Suyuti. Maybe we can find ways to share them with you guys, but we'll get to that, inshallah. I have a book in front of me. This book, subhanAllah, takes me back to Damascus. It's actually one of my first books I ever bought at the book fair in Damascus, and this was pointed out by Sheikh Jihad Brown, Allah bless him. It's Kitab Muntaha Sul ala Wasail Wusul Shama'il Rasul. It's a book by Imam al-Nabhani on the beautiful characteristics of the Prophet. The commentaries by Sheikh Abdullah Sa'id Muhammad Abbadi al-Lahji, okay, rahimahullah, who died 1344, nearly 99, but it's more than that, 120 odd years ago, rahimahullah ta'ala. So he wrote this commentary he died 1410, pardon me. So he died nearly 35 years ago, rahimahullah. So in this he speaks about dua, because he has a lovely chapter at the end of the book where Sheikh Yusuf Nabhani put a collection of du'as, of supplications, of Quranic and prophetic ones. And so Sheikh Lahji rahimahullah, he put a commentary on it. So he put some nice things down as prerequisites for du'as. Of course, when we're talking about du'a, we're talking about the individual who is supplicating. It's important that individual and that person and their state with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are they, in terms of physically, outwardly, what state are they in? Are they in wudu or not in wudu? Are they in a place of worship or not in a place of worship? Are they in their bodies, like halal, eating halal, having drunk halal and wearing halal, as we see in that prophetic tradition, where a man has his hands outstretched, he's on his knees, he's begging God. Outwardly, he ticks every box. He's shabby, disheveled. If you look at him from a distance, you're like, wow, man, this guy's a proper fakir. He's a man who outwardly is needy and is expressing his neediness to Allah with his hands outstretched and calling upon the Almighty. You think that's, an ascetic, a man who's detached from the dunya and only has interest in God. And how would Allah not answer the dua? And the Prophet told, كيف يستجاب كيف أن يستجاب له? How are his du'as supposed to be answered? When his food is haram and drink is haram and his clothes are haram. And so here, that outward state of an individual, it's something to look at. Like, where are my wudu? Have I been doing? Have I been eating halal? Have I been eating food that has ultimately, dhikr of Allah, you know, sourced from a halal place? Of course, you've got recommended times. There are times that are recommended where dua should be made. From amongst these times, we have lots of things mentioned in the Sunnah of the Prophet. Of course, in Ramadan. In Ramadan, more specifically, as we find in the hadith of the Rasul, at the break of fast, where du'as are accepted. That's mentioned lots of traditions, and tahajjud, which is all year long, but even more so in Ramadan, especially the last portion of the night. This is a time where du'as are answered. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, asking, who has a need that I can fulfill, and so these are special times. Of course, when rain is falling, when you see the Kaaba for the first time, which is a beautiful moment, and then there are going to be, like in battle, if you're in jihad, for example, the lines have been formed at that time, and there's other things that I mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet. So there are the form, okay, a recommended sort of times, okay, and then we've also got here places. There are certain places, geographical locations, okay, where du'as are answered, because they're mentioned by the Rasul, or because he sallallahu happened to make dua in those places. One of the wherever you look at the Haram of Mecca, there are so many places where du'as are answered. So these are sort of generic things, but we do need to be making dua. We should make dua, the same words that Rasul used. That's even better. But more importantly, that said, make dua to Allah, and you're completely convinced that He will answer your dua, and Allah does not answer the dua of somebody who is ghafil and lahin, who is heedless and not focusing. So we don't want to be making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala where we're not focusing. We're heedless of, we've got our hands out, but our minds are not there. We're not aware that we're actually turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we don't want to be in that position. So you want to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, focus. But dua has shurut and it has adab. And from amongst the shurut of the dua is aklul halal. This is mentioned again and again. Eating halal. You get it? Okay, eating halal, having halal food in your system. Very, very important. So my income, how I source the food, where I buy it from. This is really, really important. It's directly connected to your tongue. This is why when you eat, for example, one of the intentions you make out of nawaitu at-taqawi ala ta'atillah, I intend to gain strength, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through this very food that I'm eating. So when the food that, which is sourced from halal, like you go to work, you intend to go and earn a halal living to provide food for yourself and your family, your work is now mubarak. You get it? There it is. You've got this niyyah inside it, okay, which puts barakah inside it. There's now, what is it, an act of worship, okay, which has a soul in it because it has an active niyyah inside it, right? So then you're working, and then your income that is accrued as a result of a noble intention, this income now is mubarak. And now when you start spending and you buy food with the noble intentions that you have, Ya Rab, I wish to serve my family, I wish to bring this for the children because it makes them happy, I'm buying this for my mother because she loves this, I'm buying this for my wife because it makes her happy, and all of this with the intention that these are subjects that are under my care and Allah wants me to serve them, and I'm putting this in front of them to fulfill that amana. And then when you have food in front of you, then you intend, Ya Rabbi, I intend to eat this, right? Because it will give me strength to be able to stand and pray Maghrib, because I am shattered, I'm tired, I'm going to break my fast, I'm going to eat. But having an intention before this food, before you eat it, then now this food that you consume with a dua, a prophetic dua, or a conversation you had with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not normal food, bro. To get it, it doesn't have the same energy, that is displayed at the packets. This is how many calories, and this is no. This is different. This is food that has barakah inside it. So when that barakah comes into your body, because you've consumed it with this an active intention, right? Now what comes out of your body, okay, whether it's in the form of ibadah or a dua, or it could be completely different. Like, for example, one of the questions was posed to many shuyukh, and especially Shaykh Tanveer Hafidhullah Ta'ala. Oh, Sheikh, when I pray, I can't focus. My mind wanders here and there, and so what can I do, to be able to fix this? And Sheikh, I remember him saying this a number of times. When you make it focused. Make a wudu that is focused. Focused on what? Make a wudu where you are, talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. A wudu with presence of heart. Okay. Aware of why you're preparing yourself for the prayer. So for example, and they mention in terms of that when you're but when you rinse your mouth, say, Allahumma a'inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatik. Oh Allah, aid me. When I'm rinsing my mouth now, I want to pray, oh Allah, aid me in and doing your dhikr and remembering you and your shukr and being grateful to you and perfecting my worship to you. So here I am, I'm rinsing my mouth. Do you get it? Like I'm rinsing my mouth for wudu. It's sunnah. I know that. I read that in the fiqh books. But this is not like, like many people who make wudu. This not outwardly the form is the same, but inwardly it's completely different. And I think a lot of the people, the forerunners, they're forerunners to God because of the intentions, like what's inside. There's a lot of people outwardly, it doesn't look like on paper they should be where they are, but there's something that's been happening in the background that's taken them where they are, and most likely his intentions. You get it, and it's this conversation that a person has with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you say you make this dua. So in lots of people making wudu, they're all rinsing their mouths, but not everybody's talking to Allah Almighty whilst they are rinsing their mouth. So when you rinse your nose, you say, Allahumma arihni ra'ihatul jannah wa la turihni ra'ihatul nar. Allah, allow me to smell the perfume of Jannah, and and protect me from smelling the stench of the hellfire. Like, when was the last time you made wudu and you rinse your nose and you made an intention like that, or you're having this conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whilst you're rinsing your nose, you're thinking about Jannah, you're thinking about the hellfire. Like, no, people are rinsing their nose. Think, I hope no bogey's stuck on the front, and embarrass myself when I walk into the masjid. That's because people are they're consumed by the outward form, right? Wash your face, Allahumma bayyid wajhi yawma tabyadul wujuh wa taswadul wujuh. Oh Allah, ennoble my face on the day faces will be ennobled, filled with light, and on the day when faces will be made dark. But that's an example of where, niyyah, okay, and this dua that takes place, you know, changes, the action. It puts barakah into it, has some unf in it. It really gets to places, it travels, and so we see this, subhanallah. So he halal, making sure that we have halal. and yad'uwa wa hum muqinun bil ijabati, and that when you make dua, that you have complete conviction that Allah answers your du'as, because He is the Lord of the worlds and He has the keys to all the treasures, and He is the one who created and perfected, and He is Allah. Yeah, and those 99 names of them. I gave an example of a lady who walks around in High Wycombe, and she goes door to door. She's sort of begging, and she knocks on my door. I know a scarf, but tell me, what are you? And she said, I'm Christian. I said, well, brilliant, that's absolutely fine. Here you are. So I give her some money. And now every time she comes, hey, welcome. You are the Christian lady. She's like, yes, okay. And I said, I love Jesus and I love Mary and alayhim salam, and here you are. And I saw her today again outside the Wicker Mosque. And so subhanAllah, the example I gave is like, that lady I give, as a slave of Allah, because of love, my love for Isa alayhi salam, even though she pretends to be Muslim and tries to, I said, "No, I will help you." If so, Allah is the most kind, the most generous. His, why are you doubting that He will, maybe even fearing that He won't answer your du'as? Make dua with complete conviction. He's the Lord of the world. He has no need of anybody else. He will give. If we human beings are giving to this person, that person, this aqidah, this yaqeen is really, really important. This, you know, having a good opinion and a more accurate opinion of what Allah and who Allah is subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes we judge God and Allah's generosity based on our own experiences, our own generosity, our own stinginess. So this is Alhamdulillah problem. So make dua, complete conviction. Ya Rabbi, you said make dua. Here I am making dua. It's Ramadan. Ya Allah, give this and give that and ask for whatever you want. So, but this yaqeen inside, okay, that my Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will give. Of course, the du'as are answered in lots of different ways. Maybe your du'a, you will get exactly. I have a friend, rahimahullah ta'ala, he woke up at Hajj and he made du'a with his wife. He's passed away now. Very, very poor people. In Damascus, they knocked, we were in the Mahad al-Islami, and they knocked on the door. When they knock on the door during the lesson, it's not good news. And normally it means the intelligence are going to summon you or take you in. But anyhow, they took him out of the class and thought, oh man, where's he gone? This is not good news. And he disappeared. And the next day I saw him, and I was quite close to him, rahimahullah ta'ala, and he took me to the side. He said, what happened? So what happened? And he said, the teacher took us out, pulled us out of the classroom, and he took me and another friend, and he took us in his car, and he took us to a poor neighborhood, a Palestinian neighborhood in Damascus. We parked up, we went into this building, we knocked on the door and went into the flat, and this man sitting there, and basically he gave us keys to a flat. He said, this is yours, and signed this document, and this is the deed signed, and here you are, it's yours. Like just like that. And he goes, subhanAllah, he had to go back and break the news to his wife, because what happened is at Tahajjud that night, his wife had made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Rab, Ya Allah, please, give us a house. Allah, give us a house. And by Maghrib, they owned a house. Isn't it? Like, it's like, so, Allah answers du'as. But when you have yaqeen, okay, it's more, you're gonna see the results of this quicker. وَأَنْ لَا يَكُونَ قَلْبُ غَافِلٍ. This is a problem, that you're heated. People make dua, they got their hands out, they're looking around, their tongue is moving, but it's just lip service, right? And the heart's not connected. You gotta make a dua, make it short and sweet, but make it count. Talk to Allah, talk to Allah. Like, for example, we have this, if I'm inside, I'm guilty of this sometimes. It's not good. And, where, like, I'm talking to my dad, but I'm actually on my phone, right? Which is not good. Bad, as I make dua, Allah remove this bad as from me. Even though, I might try to justify, say, look, I'm answering so much question. There's nothing better than looking at somebody and talking to them. And this is
And so if I'm begging Allah and my mind is somewhere else, it doesn't work. Allah doesn't like that. Allah likes it that you focus, you give Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala your full attention because He is Lord of the worlds. And so, and la yad'u bima fihi ithm, and then you shouldn't make dua where you're making dua against somebody or some type of guna, some sin. Of course, people make this dua. They say, "Ya Allah, give me this, give me that," and they don't because they haven't studied their religion. For example, they may be making a dua for some loan or some interest bearing something, and this is not good. So people need to learn their religion, and so they know what is noble, what is righteous, what is displeasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and sin. So, or some make dua against their relatives and make, Ya Allah, break their marriage, Ya Allah, ruin their business. Why? Out of jealousy, nothing else. You just can't take the fact that, somebody's successful and you're not, or they're married and I'm not, and they have children, I don't have children. Habibi, relax. You get it. The Lord that's Allah's work. So He gives who He wills, He bars who He wills. Yeah, that house, that rizq is theirs. Yeah, that's theirs. Yeah, Allah gave it to them. It's not for you. Allah decided He didn't want to give it to you. Khalas. If you have a problem, you have a problem with God, and which is more serious, than the initial problem, which is a'udhu billah. So no, don't make dua against someone. Alhamdulillah, good luck to you, man. Allah give you more for barakah and ask Allah for something that's good for you. And then you've got and la yad'u bil muhal, okay, walau adatan. And then don't ask for something impossible. Allah make me a prophet. No, Allah make me join me with the prophets. Is that fair? Or something like this now. And then ومن آدابه أن يتخيل الأوقات الفاضلة, and from the adab, so these are the prerequisites. From the etiquette is to choose good times to make dua. We have this like iftari time, sahri time, and to be in the state of wudu. Okay, or good time, not time, sajda, to be in a prostration. Okay, at the adhan and iqama times. Okay, these are good times, and we must make the most of these because we're in Ramadan, and we've been fasting and we've been worshiping Allah for the whole day. So don't miss out on these opportunities, especially at iftar, suhoor, and take your share of crying at in the court of Allah and asking for yourselves and for your family and loved ones, and to have wudu, and to and if you're in salah, even better to make dua in nawafil prayer, a lot of flexibility in your rukus and sajdas and tashahhud and so forth, to face the qibla, to raise your hands towards the heavens, and to make tawbah to Allah. So do istighfar before you make dua. Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Give some sadaqah, do a good deed before you turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-i'tiraf bidh-dhanb, Allah knows it. Mention it to Allah. Ya Rabb, Allah forgive me for my shortcomings. Al-ikhlas and sincerity. This is more likely to happen if you're in private, away from the eyes of the people. Some people they make dua in public, do the go to your car. You gotta make dua in your car. Go and make dua in the last portion of the night, somewhere where nobody can see you. And starting with Alhamdulillah, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and sending salutations upon the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and ending with salutations upon the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also putting salutation in the middle. So Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi, and make your and then ask Allah, maybe a focus on Aqidah. Say, Allah, please thank you for this favor of yours. Allah, seal this favor of yours upon me. Let me die in Iman. Let me die in Sajda. Let me die in Medina. Let me die, be buried in Baqi. Allah, give my whole family a Fatima on La ilaha illallah. Allah, keep me firm on this deen. Use me to serve your religion, to spread the light of the Quran. Make me from amongst those who learn it, and memorize it, and practice it, and understand it. Make me from amongst those who propagate it. Make me from amongst those who learn Sunnah. You focus on Aqidah. Then you say, Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Like you read in the prayer. Then shift your dua now. Okay, maybe to your family, to you, the ummah, okay, to your neighborhood, your teachers, to your loved ones, all those that passed away have something like a favor upon you. And then end it with Durood wa Salam upon the Prophet. And this is the special barakah of the salawat upon the Rasul. So there are prerequisites, okay, halal, we mentioned, and have complete conviction that Allah answers your du'as, and what is it, and don't make du'a Allah of a guna. And then you've got these adab. So don't forget me in your du'as, and let's try to see if we can, these are the days, like now middle days, where a lot of people switch off. And so I said to the congregation that, oh, we must make sure that we're doing more than before. And it's so easy to miss out. It's so easy to lose. This, if you look at Tarawih prayers, the numbers have dropped. Turn off. They come in, pervert and zeal, and then they get bored and they go off, and then they'll be back the last 10 nights. But you and I have an opportunity now. Many people will move away. You and I will step forward. Inshallah ta'ala, we intensify the worship in preparation for the last 10 nights. So if I'm reading a certain amount of Quran, I'll try to step it up and read a little bit more. If I've missed out in the first 10, make sure you don't miss out in the middle 10. Allah accept it. Inshallah ta'ala, I'm still connected. I'm not sure, but for sure we've reached now half an hour. Subhanakallah wa bihamdihi, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Jazallahu anna Sayyidina Muhammadan sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ahlu. The day Khadija radiallahu ta'ala passed away. Allah bless her soul and raise her stations, and accept her service and make us from amongst those who be raised with her. Today is also the day when Shaykh Bhuti rahimahullah was martyred in Damascus. Allah shower rahmah upon his soul. Allah bless all your loved ones. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Where are you, Sidi Ni'mal Rajul? Allah bless you. Barakallah feekum.
Jazakumullah khair, Shaykh Tanveer. As ever, so many wise words and so many things for us to benefit from. I had just two quick things, if you don't mind. I had one question. I don't think you can see it though. It's come directly to me. And the question is specifically, do you have time for one?
I can't hear you that clearly.
Oh, can't hear me. Is this better if I speak up?
I can hear you very faint. It's very faint.
Very faint. Okay, let me just
I
shout.
wasn't teaching with the same.
Let me shout then. I'm sorry for the. Yeah, I can hear you just fine. So the question I've had personally has come through to me, but you can't see it, Shaykh Tanveer, is as follows. If you've got time for one question, is someone's asking, when it comes to communal dua after a prayer, if you have someone of stature, let's say an imam,
I have
or
time,
someone
my problem is I can't hear you that clearly. Yeah.
You can't hear me.
I'm trying to, yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
It's not your fault. Before I could hear this time, now I can't.
It's all gone funny. Okay. Can you hear me now or not?
I can hear you, yeah, it's faint, yeah.
You can. Okay. So the question was, I think it's a sister asking, when it comes to communal dua after a prayer, if it's a person of stature, let's say an imam or someone who is participating in a dua, and people often say Ameen. The question is it better to not participate in that communal dua and do her own dua, which is inevitably going to be more sincere because it's coming from her directly? I don't know if you had a view on that.
I mean, I think I heard the question, which is that if, when you're in a congregation at the end, people make dua, is it better to join that, or is it, I feel more sincerity if I make my own dua?
Yes, that's the question. Yeah.
So look, the thing is, with congregation dua, you don't know whose dua Allah will answer. There's so many people saying Ameen to that dua. You see, and I think we mustn't miss out on the secret. Like, I can pray Tarawih prayer at home, but it's better for me to pray Tarawih prayer in the masjid because more people are praying. The larger the congregation, the more barakah, And so here, okay, my sincerity, maybe there is, a void there, but hey, why do you want to miss out? God knows who's the beloved to Allah in this congregation, and most likely somebody you would never believe is the one. And maybe the Ameen is enough, for everybody. I think people should take their fair share of those type of du'as and join in the congregation and have a good opinion of the people around them, and maybe the worst opinion of themselves in those locations, in those moments. And there's ample time to make dua alone. You want to make dua alone, when you get to your car, make your dua alone. I wouldn't miss out on that congregation dua. The imam is an imam for a reason. The people who've been reading the Quran by memory, who've been spending the entire day trying to revise, they hold this Quran in their hearts. Now they're making dua. You get it? There's a good chance it's going to be accepted. There's people there in that congregation who've got 60, 70, 80 years of La ilaha illallah. They know Allah for 80 years. They know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for 90 years. There are people there with sicknesses, illnesses, and cancers, and tribulation you and I could never ever imagine. They're saying Ameen. You with me? There's people there who they're orphans, man. They're raised without parents, and they've been, mashallah, they've been connected to God. So that whole congregation, there's a lot happening in that mix. Hey, you have a chance to get involved and be part of their Ameen. I wouldn't miss it, man. I wouldn't miss it. I think it's in that moment, it would be like, maybe I might be exaggerating a lot, but if you have a jama'ah, you don't pray alone. You pray with the jama'ah. You see, again, I think there's enough time to make your own du'as, inshallah.
Jazakum Allah khair, Shaykh Tanveer. Very, very clear. Very, very helpful. The sister in question has had a question answered, but also very beneficial to everyone. Jazakum Allah khair. Just before we lose you, just for those who have tuned in, there's a small banner at the bottom of the screen here. This is for a wonderful initiative that Fountain Institute are raising money for, which is their own hub, educational hub, for all the great work they do. So please do click that link. If you can find it within yourself, if your means permit, please do donate to this wonderful initiative for the Fountain Institute.
I'm going to go in and try to get everybody in the household to donate even £1. Because it's not the amount that you donate, they just need people to donate. If they get 500 people, they'll get 5k. So inshallah, we can all work like that, and we'll hit that target, inshallah.
Perfect. MashaAllah. But I think it's 7 hours to go. So inshallah, for those who want to participate in this, please do exactly what Shaykh Tanveer just said. Just a small amount, but volume would be fantastic. Okay, Jazakumullah khair, Shaykh Tanveer. Thank you so much. Inshallah, we'll see you next week.
Lovely seeing you, man. I love that. Thank you so much.
Inshallah. See you soon, inshallah. Give us salam to everyone. Assalamu alaikum.